Hi there. Welcome to my Other's Keeper. And today I have my good friend Matt on with me. And I have been working with the Schizophrenia Society of Saskatchewan Partnership Program for about the last 12-ish years. And Matt has been with them a little longer, and he has given more than 700 presentations regarding his uh, schizophrenia healing journey. Today, we're going to talk not as much about that as his spiritual healing journey. And yes, we will talk about his mental illness because that is part of who he is. And that's never to be taken away, but also it never defines him, which is one of the things I absolutely love about him. Just like my bipolar type 2 doesn't take away from who I am. It simply is a part of who I am. So welcome, Matt, and thank you for joining me today.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. So let's just go a brief rundown of what people's first questions are going to be. First of all, how did you end up in the chair? And second, tell us a little bit about your journey with schizophrenia.
All right, so on June 8th of 1996, I was out at the Saskatchewan River on a sandbar, and I ran about 10 feet on an underwater sandbar thinking that I was diving into deep water, and I dove and I hit the sandbar head first and broke my neck, and became a C4, C5 quadriplegic. And, with schizophrenia, I was diagnosed when I was 20. My symptoms started about 16 or 17 years of age. And over the years, I've through the partnership program, through my faith walk and my family and friends, I've grown to be where I am today in a place of recovery.
So how are you today? Where would
Today,
you say, sorry?
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, where would you say you are as a person, your mindset, and all of that?
I'm in an okay place. Some days I have good days, some days I have bad days, but I have more good days than bad days now, and my symptoms are under control, and I don't have the kind of delusions and hallucinations that I used to have. I've been
Mm-hmm.
sober for 12 years, and yeah, I've been sober 12 years, and I quit smoking cigarettes 11 years ago. And those two things exacerbated my illness quite a bit. Um, I've been having it's been kind of hard the last few months. My dad passed away, so that's been really hard, but I did some exciting things. I got to go to a Toronto Maple Leafs Edmonton Oilers game last week, and I got to meet some of the players, so that was pretty exciting. So,
Awesome.
all in all, I'd say I'm doing fairly well.
Great. Well, I saw photos of your trip to Edmonton and it
Yeah,
looked like a blast.
yeah, it
You
was.
just had joy radiating off of your face. It was so cool.
And my sister made it all possible. My
She
sister
did.
managed to contact the people in Toronto and got everything set up. And yeah, she's a real blessing in my life.
That's
I've got my
awesome.
nephew and niece and my mom and everyone. And my Aunt
Yeah.
Sally and my Uncle Ray and my cousin Coleman. You know, all my
Hmm.
aunts and uncles, my aunt and my uncle Gord. And yeah, they have a good family.
Well, that's so good. And that's really important, isn't it? Like to have a huge, strong support system. But if your family isn't in it,
Yeah,
that's rough. That's really rough.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Was there any time when your family wasn't supportive of you?
Yeah, when I was young and I was abusing and I was stealing and stuff, it was kind of hard on my family, and it was hard for them to be there for me when I was mentally ill. My mom, it took her a while to come around and realize I had this illness. My grandpa was kind of in the picture the whole time. Like, even when I was abusing and I was sick and stuff, my grandpa would still come see me at least once a week and buy me groceries and give me spending money and buy me tobacco. But my mom, when she realized I had this illness and that I wasn't just a bad kid that did drugs, that there was something underlying, then she came around, and now my mom is probably one of my biggest advocates. My
Yeah,
sister,
go ahead. Sorry.
and since my spinal cord injury, I kind of got my whole family back. So
for sure. I've met your mom, and she is just a wonderful woman. I've met your sister as well. My goodness, you have a great family. You
Yeah,
know,
thank
they're just the kindest people on the
yeah,
earth.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So you were talking a little bit about your substance abuse issues. When did that start in your life?
Well, I started drinking alcohol at 15, then I started smoking marijuana at 17. And by the time I was 18 or 19, I was using LSD and magic mushrooms.
Wow.
Yeah,
So hallucinogens that are known to be hallucinogens. Do you think
yeah.
that had you been experiencing schizophrenia prior to your drug use, or did your drug use trigger it, do you think?
My doctor thinks that my symptoms, like the serious symptoms, started like 16 or 17. So I
Okay.
guess that he thought I was using the drugs and that to self-medicate. But
Mm,
the serious symptoms where I started to have psychosis started when I was about 19. And yeah, I would say that's due to the LSD and the marijuana and stuff.
yeah. So what sort of psychosis are you talking about? What does psychosis look like for you?
A lot of auditory hallucinations, a lot of paranoia and fear and anxiety and delusions and yeah, like religious delusions and other and yeah, delusions of persecution, stuff like
Mm,
that.
mhm. Yeah. So people wouldn't necessarily call it paranoid schizophrenia because people will say, "Oh, he's got paranoid schizophrenia."
Yeah,
That isn't necessarily well, I shouldn't say necessarily. That definitely isn't everybody who has this disorder. Um, but delusions of persecution is quite common for a lot of mental illnesses, actually, not simply schizophrenia. I
yeah,
have a friend who has bipolar type 1, and that she has delusions of persecution and paranoia in particular. She feels that people are following her. She has been to the hospital and she's like, yep, security was all over me and I could see the cameras in the ceiling following me as I was going. And it's like, okay, I know that that's not true, but for
yeah,
her, it's 100% real. There's no question. And I can't talk her out of it because it's reality for her.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So and that's essentially what your delusions were like?
Oh yeah, I was convinced that I was an angel, and um, even after my spinal cord injury, I used to go to the bar a lot for coffee and to drink and stuff like that. And I'd sit there and I'd be convinced that one day I was going to be healed and become a famous musician, or I would go for long drives in my chair and end up at the Broadway Roastery on Broadway. And then I'd leave thinking that I was going to be a part of a special operation for the government. Yeah. And they were real to me. And yeah, especially when I was able bodied and I would have delusions about being an angel or a prophet or a messenger of God. It was very, very real to me. I thought, this is true. I thought it was true, but then, of course, never was. And yeah, my delusions were very real to me at the time.
So what brought you out of a delusional state?
Well, breaking my neck and being off all the street drugs and around all the crazy music and the people.
For
And
sure, for sure.
yeah, and and then being with my family in the hospital and just my mind resting, I guess you could say. And then I yeah, I don't know, I just came back to reality and that lasts for long. Then I got back to marijuana and drinking, and then it got worse again. And then 12 years ago, I started presenting for the Schizophrenia Society, and that's what brought about my permanent recovery. And I got off the drugs and alcohol, and I got off the cigarettes, and I yeah, I just started to heal.
Awesome. So would you say that connection with other people in similar situations as yourself, did that help with your sobriety?
Yeah, listening to people tell their stories
Yeah,
and thinking about what they were saying and confronting my own illnesses definitely helped. Absolutely. It's been key
awesome.
to my recovery. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a particular YouTuber I watch called Tommy Scoville, and he has a YouTube channel called The Lifeboat. And his big thing is that connection is the opposite of addiction.
Yeah.
So people who have high connections with people are less likely to be addicted. Not completely not, but
Yeah.
they're more likely to become sober and stay sober.
Yeah.
Um, it- a part of it is accountability, don't you think?
I would say so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So who
Definitely.
keeps you accountable?
My family. Um, yeah, I would say just my family really. Um, maybe my friend Dan. Uh, I don't know.
Okay, so um, if something were to happen and you wanted to lose your sobriety, you wanted to go back into drugs or alcohol. Now, I know you're living in a care home right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
How difficult would that be for you to attain or to obtain, I guess, substances that you wanted to abuse? I would have a hard time picturing living in a care home and making it easy. But then
No,
again, you
no,
do tend to spend a lot of time outside during the
yeah.
summer and such.
If I wanted to, I just go to the bar. I go to a pot shop.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I was abusing when I lived in Sherbrooke before.
Yeah.
Like the first 10 or 15 years of my quadriplegia living in Sherbrooke, I was getting high and drunk all the time. Yeah, so
Wow.
not that much. I could just, if I wanted to, I could drive to the bar and get drunk, or I could go to a pot shop and get some marijuana. It wouldn't be that hard to do. Yeah,
Right. Wow.
yeah,
I guess, yeah, my brain doesn't work that direction.
yeah.
Substances haven't been an issue for me, that it's other things like food and spending and, stuff that's available right here at home.
Mhm.
So that's the tougher part for me. Um, but living at Sherbrooke, how long have you lived there?
Since 1997.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a
That's
long
a long
time.
time.
Yeah, like
Yeah, for sure.
27 years. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's been a long time.
So I've heard you say in the past that breaking your neck saved your life.
I really
Uh,
think it did. Yeah,
yeah? And why is it that you think it did?
I was in a pretty dark path. I did a lot of things that made a lot of people angry, and the way I was going, it was like it was yeah, I don't know, it wasn't a very good path. I don't know. I might have got involved in heavier drugs like meth and stuff, and who knows? I really believe that my mental wellness and my living situation, my relationship with my family, my friends, has wouldn't have been possible unless I'd come to the place where where I've been after my injury. I really do think it saved my life,
Yeah. Okay.
even though
So,
it's been a hard trade off, being
oh
paralyzed from the neck
yeah,
down. But
that's a little extreme, my friend. I don't know that that would be the best solution for
yeah,
everyone.
no, no.
So where in that period of time between um, abusing substances, having your accident, getting into Sherbrooke, all of that, where did your spiritual journey change for you in that walk, I guess?
Well, I had a friend who was Suzanne Claire that had a lodge out of Blackstrap Lake,
Mhm.
and it was a Christian community, and they did like retreats and stuff too. And I started going out there when I was about 26 years old, and I remember being out there for Easter, and I was sitting by the window looking out the lake, thinking about what Easter was really about the cross of Christ and the resurrection. That's kind of my first step to coming to Christ. And then I lived out there for 8 months with my girlfriend at the time, Christy, was there. And yeah, I just kind of developed a relationship with Jesus Christ, and I moved back in the city in 1999, and I attended church for a while, and I would read my Bible a lot and stuff. I had a lot of anger issues though, and so I was kind of like I had the spirituality, but I also had the anger, and it took me a long time to work through the anger. But my spirituality, my faith in Jesus Christ and God the Father has brought me through a lot of really hard times. I've had pneumonia 39 times. I've been septic 3 times. I've had H1N1 and I've had COVID twice. Not to mention having schizophrenia and breaking my neck. So I really think that God has a purpose for my life, and everything I've been through and got through has been by the strength that God has given me. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
yeah,
Now for me, I grew up in a Christian home, and throughout the years, spending so much time in church. My dad was a pastor, um, and during the 4 years of Bible school, and then afterward when he was pastoring, I spent a lot of time around the Bible and such.
yeah.
Even before that, going to church, it was very encouraged to memorize Bible passages. Um, so now when I'm having a hard time, just things come to my head like you wouldn't believe. It's just wonderful. Have you memorized a lot of scripture, or is it simply just kind of an impression that you get?
No, I know a fair amount of scripture. Um, Say if we go back maybe 15, 20 years, I used to read my Bible for hours and hours a day. And I haven't done that for about 10 years. I do read it. I try to read it every day, but not like I used to, not the amount. And back then I had a lot of scripture memorized. But now I have a bit memorized. The only problem is I don't know chapter and verse. I just know the scripture itself. And I have a bit memorized. I have friends that tell me that I know the words and stuff, so
I'm the
maybe
same way. I don't know the references necessarily off the top of my head, but
yeah.
definitely what the verse says. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually all of my tattoos, I have 3 tattoos, and all of them have scripture attached to them.
Cool.
One's a butterfly, and it talks about First Corinth or Second Corinthians 5:17. If you're in Christ, you're a new creation. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. Old things have passed away.
Yeah.
All things have become new. And like I said, I grew up in a Christian household, but I really walked away for a number of years. I made the choice that, I am not going to do what I grew up believing. And I never thought that God wasn't God. I never thought that um, God wasn't in charge. I just like, you know what? I just don't care. So God, just leave me
Yeah.
alone and I will do my thing. You do your thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into trouble, and that's where I ended up being, um, during the beginning parts of, my adulthood, uh, high teens, early adulthood, that's kind of where I was. And, yeah, how about yourself? Do you have any time when that happened?
Well, I wasn't raised in a Christian home.
Mhm.
When I was a young boy, I went to church a few times, and my mom would take us occasionally. And I went to Sunday school as a child, and I sang in Power Boys Choir for a while. We did some Christmas stuff at the church. But then I kind of went the opposite way. I kind of rebelled against everything, against all authority, and I was heavy into drugs and alcohol, and yeah, and theft and stuff. And um, the question was, did I ever doubt that God was who He said He was? Is that
That wasn't the question, but that is a good question.
after I came to Christ, there were times that I was angry at God, and but no, um, um, I guess I've always known that God is God, that God's created the universe, and that He sent His Son Jesus to die for me, and that He was raised to life, and
So
uh,
what brought you to the point of this is going to sound weird, of forgiving God. Because, like you said, you were very angry,
Yeah,
and most people would say very rightfully so. But what got you the point of saying, you know, God, this may be a good thing, or is it a good thing?
it's what a good thing.
Is your situation now, all of
Oh,
the pain that you went through, did
yeah.
all the pain become a good thing for you?
I'm still working through it all. Like, I I know that my salvation cost God a lot. That Jesus had to suffer a horrifying death. You know,
Mhm,
everything he had to go through, it was pretty bad. And that he knows my pain and suffering because he's been through it all himself. You know, and I know that it's forgiveness because of what it cost God. So yeah, I believe he's a forgiving God. I have to work
mhm,
through my own forgiving of others yet, and you know, um, yeah. So understanding, I guess, understand that God's a God of forgiveness for me is what it cost him.
mhm.
I know that I have to. I'm sure that I have unforgiveness in my heart still that I have to work through. But yeah, so
Yeah, I have a few people I don't see. I may see them once every 10, 15 years,
yeah,
but if ever I'm in their presence, they just bring out the worst in me, just
uh,
from my past history with them.
yeah,
Just that hurt is still so there,
yeah,
and, yeah, I think there's, like, 3 people I can think of in the world that I struggle with forgiving, you
yeah,
know, for what happened. Um, yeah, that makes a makes it difficult for me, and I'm seeing you're using your hand, so you're quadriplegic, but
yeah.
how is it that you're able to use your hand?
I have sparing in my spinal cord, which means the nerves aren't completely severed or
Mm,
not severed. No, what's my mom call it? I never severed the nerves. I had some pressure against the nerve, but it's called sparing in the spinal cord. So it's just the nerves that control my left arm and hand. But I have very limited use. Like I can, that's all I can do. And my arm, I can only move so much. But yeah,
right.
it's sparing in the spinal cord.
Oh, okay.
But I
So you
can like
have
try. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so you have gross motor function, but not fine.
No, no fine. No, no fine motor function.
Okay,
I
okay,
can like
okay.
drive my own chair. I can open doors. I can. I'm very limited in what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very limiting. But at
Yeah,
the same time, it's also the fact that you can open doors and you can drive your own
yeah,
chair without that
yeah.
the little blow straw.
I
I've
used to
seen
use a
other
head.
people.
I used to drive with my head before I
Oh,
got used to my left arm. So you have a headrest.
oh,
You have a headrest. When you press back, you go forward, right, and left. When you turn your head, then there's a toggle switch to go in reverse.
wow.
Yeah, I did that for about a year, and then I came to Sherbrooke, and I started physio, and that's when I got used to my arm back.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
physiotherapy really helped
it
with
did.
renewing some function.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So was that I imagine that was a fairly long process.
No, I started on an arm manometer, which is an arm bike where you pedal with your arms.
Okay.
And within about a month, I was able to use the hand control. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, cool. Um, I had another question for you, and it has simply escaped my brain. Um, I hate when that happens. Anyway, so tell me about the best things in your life right now.
uh, well, again, my family. I feel closer to my sister now. She really went all out to get me to that game, and I'm pretty appreciative of what she done. And my nephew
Mhm.
and their partners, and um, best things in my life right now. Yeah, I would say definitely my friends and my family.
Awesome. Oh, that's cool. See, I don't get to see you much outside of our presentations. So, I don't know what your day-to-day life looks like. So what does a day in the life of Matt look
I
like?
read a lot now. I read like probably I read 4 hours a day. I still go out for coffee with my friends and stuff, or have them come in. I like to watch like some TV and movies and stuff, and what else? I like to do my job with the partnership program, and I'll do that on the days I'm scheduled. And I just like to, when I can, I like to get out and go do things. And that's about it. The majority
Y
of my time now is taken up with reading.
Oh, wonderful. So what
Reading
do you like to read?
everything. Uh, I have
Do you
some
have a
favorite
top
books.
10 or do you just kind
Yeah,
of
Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. John Steinbeck. Jack Reacher. Lee
Mhm.
Child. Jack Reacher. What else? I read some Stephen King, Faulkner, Hawthorne. I like reading Christian books. What else? Just a whole. I like reading stuff like I've read Lone Survivor twice, American Sniper twice. I've read Black Hawk Down once. I've read the Act of Valor, which I really loved the movie. I love the movie, so I really enjoyed the book. And it's all about Navy SEALs. I kind of think Navy SEALs are real cool.
Oh, yeah.
What else? A lot of Christian books I've read, probably 30 or 40 Christian books in the
Mhm.
last few years. What else? Uh, Tom Clancy, I like. I just finished a John Grisham book called Sycamore Row.
Oh,
Um,
yes, yeah.
yeah, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't think of. Harry Potter, I like Harry Potter. It's fun to read. I really
Mhm.
like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I've read Lord of the Rings like 4 times now, and The
Wow.
Hobbit 4 times in the last three years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I like one of my favorite books is John Steinbeck Travels to Small Time. I think it's called Travels to Small Time America with Charlie.
Okay.
Charlie's his poodle, his dog, and there's a really funny line where he's talking to Charlie. Said Charlie didn't have much to say on that or something. Uh, some funny stuff in there.
But dogs will definitely tell you what they think if
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're kind of attuned to them.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's other books I read that I can't think of right now.
Okay, cool. You and I actually like a lot of the same types of books. Have you read
Yeah.
any of the Jason Bourne series?
All three. Yeah, I read.
Oh, no, no, there's like 18 or 20 now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Jason,
Yeah.
I read Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum.
Yeah. The
I have to look up.
Bourne, legacy and, movie and book, there's absolutely nothing whatsoever except for the title that is the
Yeah,
same.
yeah,
Jason Bourne does not occur
yeah,
in the movie.
yeah. It's the same. I read the the three books for the three movies that have Matt Damon in them. They're
Mhm.
nothing the same.
No, I
There's
know.
nothing the same in any of the books and the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, when I read a book and I see the movie, I really have to remember to detach myself one from the other because they are still like, they're still the same idea to a
Yeah,
degree. Not always, but to a degree, they're the same idea,
yeah,
but the characters are going to act very differently. I guess it depends on the society and the current culture of what's going on, um, in the time when the book was written versus the time when the movie was done, I guess, might have something to do with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love the movies, the Born Identity movies with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the first one, The Born Identity, like 20 times.
Oh my
Yeah.
word. Wow. Well, that's cool. So do you have, like, a TV setup and all that stuff in your room,
I
or is it your
have a
computer, or what?
I have a 50-inch Sharp TV. I have
Wow.
Bose speakers. I have yeah, and that's it. Yeah. Well, and I have an Android box. So
Okay. Well, that's cool. It's nice you kind of have all the comforts,
Yeah.
You need just kind of right there, and you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have to worry about sharing your space if you don't want to.
No, no.
What's the size of your room?
Here, I'll try and show you.
Okay.
Uh, so this is the door,
Mhm.
and then um, goes over here. I don't know if you can get a dimensions, but
Yeah, I can because I know the size of flags,
yeah, yeah.
I can kind of
So
guess.
that's
Okay.
it. It's a good sized room.
Yeah. You have actually nice amount of room to move around in your chair, like, you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just an in and out hallway sort of idea.
No, no, no.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
what's the community at Sherbrooke like? How do you socialize much with the people in your home, or is it
Not a
more
lot.
people outside?
Most of my friends and family. There are a lot of really good people here at Sherbrooke. We have a
Mhm.
lot of caring staff and a lot of really good residents. So yeah. My
Okay,
sister
cool.
asked me why I don't get more involved with things, and I'm not really sure why. I guess I'm kind of a loner in some ways. But yeah, there are a lot of really, really good people here.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have found that, um and I don't know if it's a mental health thing or if it is just a personality thing, but, for myself, I tend to surround myself with people who get me a little bit more,
Yeah.
like, and part of that is getting the illness that I have, like, not judging me
Yeah.
for, you know, when I go absolutely outside of my brain. I don't do that very often anymore, but, just when I do something weird or quirky, they're just like, "Okay, yeah, that's just Kim.
Yeah.
Big deal." You know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, let's go back a few minutes. You said that you had auditory hallucinations. What
Yeah.
sorts of auditory hallucinations would you have had?
You mean like what would they say?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. They call me. Let's think here. Call me a loser. Call me uh, just insults.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, I would hear that I was the devil a lot. I would hear um, different derogatory things.
Okay, and
Uh,
when you have an auditory hallucination, does it sound like the person's right here or at some distance? What sort of idea is that? There's going to be,
I
like,
would say distance.
a
I would
distance.
say like from
Okay.
another room mostly. Yeah,
Okay.
stuff not even and it would just be stuff that is so outlandish and so unreal and so untruthful.
Yeah.
Just yeah, just and things that want to make me, are insulting or degrading or demoralizing.
Just things to make you feel terrible about
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, what would you say if somebody said, "Well, that's just your own thoughts, and you're just thinking, um, and you have a poor self-image." Would you
Well,
say that that's the same, or is it not the same?
I would say it's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of one would feed off of the other, I imagine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Do your auditory hallucinations ever sound with positive?
Um, no,
Really?
not very
Oh,
often.
wow. Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's gotta be rough. That has to be really, really rough.
it can be.
Yeah. So how is it that, like you said, you don't have a lot of symptoms right now. What
No,
sort of symptoms do you still have?
I feel unsettled a lot.
Mm,
I mean, Matt, like just come not in a place of comfort, in a place of anxiety, um, where I just feel troubled
mhm.
and uneasy, and some of that has to do with quadriplegia.
Mhm.
The way my body feels can be unsettling at times.
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it to someone who's not quadriplegic, but I just feel unsettled and
Okay,
not.
so even though you don't have physical sensation
I do
outside of your
have some
body.
physical sensation. Yeah,
Okay, okay, so
experience,
what
I
sorts
experience
of
a lot of pain,
mm,
and yeah, so I experience pain in my right arm, and right hand, in my right leg, and my right foot.
oh,
That's the part
wow.
of my body that's completely paralyzed. That's the thing. A lot of people might think, when you're paralyzed, you don't feel anything,
Right.
but paralysis can be very painful due
Really?
to the atrophy of the muscles and stuff,
Mm,
and not moving around and stuff. Yeah, it can be extremely painful. It may be
wow.
like a phantom pain. You know how you hear people without limbs having phantom pain?
Yeah.
It could be something like that. It's also nerve pain.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a misconception that people might think it having paralysis is like no sensation at all, but it's different than that,
yeah, actually, that's I had thought that.
yeah.
I had no clue. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
not cool, but I mean, interesting that,
Yeah.
um, the sensation is still there.
Yeah.
Um, so if I come and I squeeze your shoulder, can you feel me squeeze your shoulder?
My left shoulder, yeah.
Okay,
But
okay, so
that's
I'll do
about
that next time I see you. That'll be
yeah,
my hug for you.
yeah.
Okay.
That's about as high as my sensation for actual feeling is. Like, okay,
Okay.
so if someone touches my leg, I can feel pressure, but the sensation, true sensation, is either the prick of a needle or the touch of a cotton swab. That's what real
Mm,
sensation is. My
mhm.
sensation is just pressure. I can tell by the pressure that someone's touching me.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense,
No, it totally does. It totally does.
but
Okay,
my
cool.
actual real sensation starts about here and goes up to my head.
Okay.
And even though I can move my arm and hand, I can't really feel it. Like for like
It's
for
it's more like
actual,
it's numb, is that
yeah,
would you say?
yeah, absolutely,
Not
yeah. My whole
not
body,
pins and needles, just kind of just
no,
a bare
just numbness, yeah, and
okay.
no pinprick or cotton swab sensation.
Right. Okay, interesting. Oh,
Mm.
that's kinda cool. Well, interesting to know. So what do you do for the pain in your right side?
Well, sometimes I take Advil or Tylenol 3, and other
Okay.
times I grin and bear it.
Okay, so you
Both.
don't take anything harder than a Tylenol 3?
No, no. And I don't take it all the time. I just take it when I really, really, really need it.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So the grinning and bearing it,
Yeah.
I kinda do that for most of my pain as well, and there's a lot of people out there who don't. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know if I have a high pain tolerance or just a high tolerance for really annoying things.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I with my kids running around when they were little and telling me all sorts of stories and reading the same book over and over and over and over again. I have a high tolerance for,
Yeah.
annoying things, but
Yeah.
yeah, physical like you'll notice I scratch or I'll touch or something like that. The nerves in my body tend to just kinda go weird places.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, one of the things for myself, the anxiety that I feel actually manifests in the physical nerves.
Oh, okay.
And my doctor is currently in the process of changing my anxiety medication to one that actually deals with nerves as well as anxiety. And nerves, anxiety, and oh, it's an anti-seizure drug. So it would have been originally for people with epilepsy, and then they
Okay.
have found through treating them that they have these other types of side effects or off-brand or off-label uses, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm on a lot of medications. About half of them oh, we've lost Matt. I hope he comes back. So when he comes back, we'll talk a little bit about the medication again. Um, like I said, I've known Matt for a lot of years, and a lot of this information is very new to me. I had no idea. I'm just going to take him out. There we go. And he's not back yet. I will get a little ringing sound. Um, but because he and I present for the partnership program here, we don't really want to give a lot of our mental health um, presentations kind of thing. I did uh, as my first video, just so people could kind of get an idea of who I am, where I am, what I do. Um, Not so much to talk specifically about bipolar, just who I am. And with Matt, that is that has been a really great way for me to get to know him. Like myself, there have been several iterations of his story. So he used to talk a lot about his addictions. He used to talk a lot about um, how he was injured and that sort of thing. And since then, it's now been more about his healing process. So, and mine has changed as well. I have talked um, less about the medical portions of what bipolar is and more about my healing process as well. So in that way, it's been a really interesting journey working with him and hearing so much about his life. It's just been a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off now because it looks like he might be out for the duration. And thank you so much for joining us. If you have questions, if you have any comments, please email me at myotherskeeperis@gmail.com. Myotherskeeperis@gmail.com. Or you can look me up on Facebook at My Others Keeper on Facebook and talk to me there. Subscribe to my Facebook profile, subscribe to my internet channel here. That would be awesome. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell for all alerts so you know the next times we are going to come on. I normally do feeds on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings at 7:30 in the evening Central Standard Time. And I know that there are quite a few people out there who might watch my program, but also watch other programs that have always been at 5 o'clock in California time, which happens to be right during the time that I would go on. But please watch the replays. I love the people who watch the replays and give me comments and feedback. I will talk to you again. See you.